Hey, what's up, guys? Just decided to hop into some 200 NL that I saw was running, like a good 5 or 6 tables running on Stars PA. So I figured I'd just hop in, make a quick play and explain because I had some free time. So yeah, let's just get into it. And right away, I can see we opened Kings, hijack, and got a 3-bet and a cold call, like a small 3-bet from like a tighter player, I guess, and a cold call. I think we can just probably jam versus these stack sizes, but exploitatively, I might want to make it like 16 big blinds or something, just really cringe. Versus like some weaker players. Not sure. Just like really make it tough, pot odds wise. Um, yeah, especially when we block Ace King, double block Ace King. Like these are some of the hands that they're most comfortable stacking off with. So I'm just gonna make it like this. It's like kind of a cringe size. It's not really gonna be a thing. Yeah, okay, we take it down like that. So definitely would have folded to a jam as well, but just trying to think what gets the max versus like some of those pairs like that might feel uncomfortable, like nines. Tens. This cold caller is gonna have like some pseudo connectors, some like nines, tens, jacks even type hands. Um, and obviously he'll call off of his like 26 big blind stack, but we're trying to like obviously maximize if we can get it in multi-way. But yeah, in general, I kind of like using some of those like non-existent sizes when you have a decent read that your opponents are on like the weaker side. Um, because there's a lot of like leveling and you can induce some interesting behavior. When you jam, a lot of times like it might be correct in theory, but like you sort of eliminate parts of the game tree that could have happened where you would have had a chance to um, either express your edge over them, like utilize your edge, or have them make a mistake. A lot of times when you take the most aggressive action, like a jam or something like that, you force them to play a bit more correct. Now, I might be reading a little too deep into this exact spot, obviously, but I just think it's kind of a good thing to remember that you can sort of do things that don't exist versus weaker players to try and induce mistakes more often. So open the king jack suited. Get a 3-bet from a player who's 3-betting very aggressively and is just quite aggressive all around. Um, we'll call. Versus a third, yeah, we don't have enough here, even with our like backdoor straight, quote unquote. Obviously hearts are going to be better. Spades, obviously. So I just don't think we quite have enough. Especially because we're also a little bit reversed versus the range that we improve with a king or a jack. Sometimes we're getting we're dominated in those spots. Picking up the aces over here on table 1. Let's see if we can put them to use. Yeah, for whatever reason, like there were a bunch of 200 NL games on right now, and they were pretty good as well. Like a lot of the usual guys who are kind of like bum hunting, like the 200 and sometimes the 500 games, like they weren't around for whatever reason. Um, Definitely against like regulars, I'm not gonna play any bets, but I think even against a rec, we will also not bet this board ever, basically. We face a small bet. I think you could go either way here, as in terms of call or raise. This player has been known to barrel the turn too thin, I think, was one of my reads on him. In which case maybe he'll put in too many chips with a hand that we would otherwise fold out to a check raise or something along those lines. But I also think a raise is probably fine. I also think that on a board like 7-4-3 two-tone, like if he had a stronger hand, like a set or two pair, that it would definitely take a size other than a third. Um, Maybe that's more reason for raising, but he goes pot, and I'm obviously not a fan of this. Now because he will just have some of those like 6-7s, pocket sixes, stuff like that that will make the straights. He'll obviously have some sets. We have the Ace of Hearts, which gets rid of some of those backdoor bluffs, flush draw bluffs. It's already close in my opinion. I don't think... I'm noticing now that this is multi-way. We'll continue over here. I'm just going to let these go. Just not the biggest fan of this spot. Versus the button flat on the 3, 4, 5, 7 two-tone. We brick over here. It's just not a great run out for us to bluff. Oh, we accidentally time out over here and hit a nice card on the turn. Yeah, I might have just c-bet small, maybe like 1.5 big or something like that. I'm going to delay c-bet small as well now here. This sort of looks like I have maybe like a kings, queens, you know, type hand, like a underpair over to the 7, over the 7, but below the ace. Trying to get some thin value. Could induce a raise from like a worse ace, for example, that they check twice. But also just gets value versus like a wide variety of hands or the small size. That's fine. Base the 3-bet from the aggressive player here to a bit of a larger size. I think my main exploit versus people who do this is going to be just jam very often with like some of those bigger pairs, ace king, even ace queen type hands. Versus the bigger size, I'm playing mostly 4-bet or call, or 4-bet or fold, not as much calling. And yeah, I just don't want to be 4-betting ace-2 suited versus like the wide 3-bet as often. Prefer to use that as a fold and instead shift my exploit to being like jamming some of those hands that I mentioned. 10s, jacks, queens, even some kings maybe. Ace king, ace queen. Even like queen jack suited or something like that. But yeah, worth noting this player's being very aggressive, so you'll see his 3-bet stat is 12, which is like a little high. But when people start getting up there to like 3-bet stat of like 13, 14, then like all sorts of exploits work, just like 4-bet bluffing more, 4-bet jamming. Because yeah, they're doing it a bit too often. You'll have to be careful though you 4-bet bluff too often, because if that same player profile has like the 5-bet bluff jams, then you know you might get yourself into trouble there too. But double Broadway, just c-betting small. Turn the ace. I got kicked off a table I was sitting out at. On the turn, I think I'm gonna play like 2/3 maybe, and I think this hand just about makes it. But I do think I'll just get overfolded. Like, I think a lot of the queen x that I'll continue for a tighter player might just fold anyway. So I'm actually going to use this ace-8 in the defending my check back range here on the turn. I think in theory we can carve out some of these like sort of medium ace-x that we turn for that medium size that we'll be using. And versus half pot. I'm actually not a fan because this guy is on the tighter side, but we just obviously can never fold an ace when we check back the turn. So, and he had a bluff this time. So that's good to note. Maybe the guy's not as nitty as I maybe once thought, although I only have 70 hands, so whatever read I have, it's probably not great. I'm not sure why. Maybe I saw him showdown like something that never wins, or something like that in some line. Ace-3 off versus cutoff open. Actually a fold, I think, in theory, but versus a weaker player, 2.5. We'll flick it in for the video. Face another 3-bet on the larger size here. Again, probably not playing many calls. Could 4-bet bluff sometimes. Here with a diamond, we'll definitely bet, but I think we're just going to get overfolds after the check back on the flop, so I'm just going to use a size like that, and I'm just going to let go of the king jack suited over here. Don't have any reads on this player. A lot of tight players in the pool, so I don't want my default to just be throwing in some of those like low frequency 4-bet bluffs by default. Prefer to have some sort of read first. We will open up the queen jack here. I'll open this off into some weaker players. Close that. Alright, so we end up going 4 ways over here on Jack 4 deuce. Normally I wouldn't really play any bets out of position with like a cold caller from late position, but this board is so dry, so safe, and there's 2 recreational players in the hand. I kind of don't want to let the street pass through with no chips going in before something like an ace or a king comes out and it gets a lot less attractive of a spot. We'll just use something like a third. I think that's fine. We do get a call on the turn as a brick. From the small blind, I expect a lot of pocket pairs, some suited connectors, some random jack X from time to time. His 3-bet seems a little low, so he might have some of those ace-jack combos, king-jack combos, but still I think our hand is probably good enough to bet again. One more street, I would say now or river. I'm just going to check back and take the river. I think it might be more appealing of a spot for some of his total bluff catchers to call a river bet, like 5, 6s, whatever, versus call a turn barrel thinking they're going to face a river bet a lot. And also it leaves him room to like maybe make a frequency mistake on the river. Or some sort of mistake. Versus block, I think our hand is actually good enough to raise. I'm just going to use a size like this to target a worse jack. Or something like a 9 that's blocking for value. I guess you can have some 9s like the 9x with a backdoor, I guess, can float the flop for like a third, probably. But yeah, generally, definitely at all levels, obviously, you know, be willing to raise river blocks and small bets with like decent top pairs, like especially in a line where the turn check through or something like that, like we just saw. Yeah, like I think that's probably a spot people miss from time to time, just like raising blocks thin for value. Not even that thin really, but definitely good to get in the habit of that. Here, it's enticing, obviously, but just not a great spot to put any chips in out of position. Big ISO. I think this player is the reg. I'm not entirely sure. Don't have that many hands. I don't think this is his stats. Oh, it is his stats. From what I've seen, I think he was playing some of the bigger sticks. Just not sure. But certainly would only continue like a king 10 off here as a 3-bet versus a weaker player or something like that. So here on the paired board with the ace of clubs, slightly less equity protect against for villains. I am going to check with the player in position. You don't have to on a paired board like this. You can just bet. But I think this will be fine. Not sure what type of recreational player is on the button. Here, this is big blind versus cutoff. I think we'll just throw in a donk on this board. I think it makes some sense. We'll have, you know, some of the 5-3 that he probably won't. Some of the suited combos and definitely some of the 2 pairs. Here we'll just call versus 4 big blinds, which is like on the bigger side of a size you could use. So a little less enthusiastic about a check raise. I also don't think it's a spot that they'll like over stab when we check to them on the flop. They'll just check through and see the turn a lot in position. Here we flop a set, which is nice. I'm not going to trap on a board like this. I am just going to bet. I think it's pretty dynamic texture. Obviously, basically every turn card changes the texture. So I am just going to bet. I'm just going to use a size like half pot. This is interesting for him to go half. I don't think we can fold. It's like even less than half. I don't think we can fold actually against this sizing. It's not super attractive, but I don't think a 9 would use this size really. I guess it could, but there's like a little bit to actually protect against with a 9, so... Okay, that's actually a really nice card, obviously. Much less likely as a 9x, and we improve to a decent full house. He would have had to c-bet a queen on the... or stab a queen on the flop, which is possible, like some queen 10, king queen, but... Here, now I am just going to call. I don't really think it makes sense to play 3 bets with top set. And I think versus this line we have to call. I don't know what he's saying with this size. Like, certainly a queen or a 9 should be using like a really, really big size to target my jack X. So I'm not sure what he's saying he has. Okay, that's what he's saying he has. Literally a hand like that. So we'll make that note. Did not 3-bet aces pre. Sorry, we're getting spots all over the place now. Here, I'm just going to use the small size. We're in position, we'll always be able to jam the river. We'll go like this. I'll check back over here. On the river, we're just going to put it in. It's unlucky if he has like 7-9 of diamonds or something, but I doubt that hand's like checking the turn, or maybe check jams the turn or something like that. But yeah, so it's really rare we ever worse here. It's just about, does he have enough calls? I think a hand like 6s even might check call the turn, just like kind of scared. So we will just put it in over here. Versus 1 big blind here, I think we'll just pay it off. Yep, totally fine. Yeah, he did have 6s, so definitely a huge cooler over there. But we take it. We've been getting coolered pretty hard over the last few months, so it's nice to have some of them go our way. He did think about it too, which is interesting. People love making big folds in this field for sure, in this player pool. But yeah, it's nice to actually get paid in a spot like that. Yeah, I like the small bet on the turn. Because after he check raises flop and then checks like kind of a bricky overcard turn, like I do make some kings like as a top set, a new top set. But I think he starts to lean kind of like junky hands that didn't improve, like some of those bluffs that didn't improve. That he's trying to check and maybe see a cheap river, a free river for, which obviously small bets or any bet is going to perform well against to deny equity, or just like trash. And when I bet small, it could potentially induce a continue or a raise or like a call and bluff, donk bluff rivers, anything. Just giving him room to make a mistake basically. And also it happened to work out such that when I bet a third, it left like a convenient SPR in the river to just jam for less than pot, which is always nice, obviously. We will just c-bet jack 3-4 rainbow. Turn ace. Our hand can probably bet again, just to... I think this is a recreational player. In theory, the size I'm going to use on the turn is probably like pretty big. But against this exact player, I am going to size down and target a jack. This is not like just playing against what I think his exact hand is versus what I think is correct. I think even if you were using those really big sizes, I think my hand can go into that some of the time. Definitely not at like high frequency. Because obviously like our main value bet on the turn is going to be for the really big size, like overbet or pot or something like that, is going to be like a decent ace and better. And the reason that my hand will get in, I think some of the time, is just with the added nut flush draw that we have, obviously. But in that spot, I think people will kind of overfold like some of their hands that might be in different continues on the turn. At least is what the sense I get in this pool. Versus UTG and a reg on the button, I prefer this hand as a 3-bet. So we will just do that. 3-bet or fold, obviously. Probably mostly fold, but I'll just throw it in as a 3-bet this time. But yeah, over here, I think we might generate overfolds on the turn, so I'm literally just going to be targeting a worse jack or some sort of draw with my size. So we get the 4 bets. This guy has 4 bet with queen jack off at one point. That might have been blind versus blind or something. So he definitely has 4 bet bluffs. Either way, I think my hand probably has to call once we 3 bet and get 4 bet. And this is interesting for sure. We will have 7-8. We'll have 8 some of the time. Versus a quarter, that's kind of strange to see. I think we can raise to like a smallish size with our hand. I think it will perform pretty well. Something like that. And I think we are planning to get it in. Okay, that's a nice turn, obviously. Over here, I think we'll call some of the time and raise other times. I'm just going to throw in the raise here. Here, I just think versus any size, he's going to fold like ace, king, ace, queen. So I'm actually just going to check back. Here, this is actually a spot we're going to have to bet the turn. It's quite likely he has an ace, so I might not triple off on a brick because I just don't think people fold an ace enough, but I will maximize fold equity on the turn. 5 deuce. Can he have 5 deuce? It's unlikely. Bet call the flop. Do that. And we will, of course, just jam the river here. Yeah, he probably had ace, king, ace, queen, something like that. And we do take it down over here, table 2. We got a guy opening to 3 big blinds off a 10 big blind stack. Obviously, I'm just going to make it like 10.5 just so it puts them all in. Doesn't really matter. Obviously, we can make it 9 and the chips are never not going in anyway if he has a continue. So. Okay. It's a respectable hand, actually. Usually when people kind of like open and then call the shove off like 10 bigs that quick, like they just have nonsense. They're like just tilt getting it in their last few chips. Yeah, it seemed like he actually had a decent hand. Obviously, it's not a not a fantastic hand, but for 10 bigs, I can respect the ace 10 off. I can respect it. Picking up kings over here, small blind versus cutoff. We will 3-bet. I have a read that this guy, a note that he checked down with trips. Interesting. 3-bets that very low, VPIP on the smaller side as well. Double Broadway texture, high, high, low like this, even two-tone. I'm just going to bet very often and small. We'll go for a quarter pot. Just take it down. Got the 8s. Open those up. Yeah, you can see that the games are pretty good right now. A lot of the guys who like play 500 and 200 are not around for whatever reason. I guess it is a Friday evening, so people are out doing things with their lives. I respect that, of course. Gotta have the respect for people out living their life. But here I am, grinding 4 tables of 200 NL, making a video for y'all. But yeah, so I guess these are like the losers. You would think the losers would be the guys who are good at poker. So you'd think you'd see more regs on a Friday night. But now it seems like all sorts of folks are coming through here. And for the record, my yellow tag is like a decent reg. The blue tag like this blue is like a reg that's like not anything special, like not super creative, like on the weaker side, kind of tight, kind of ABC, maybe not bluffing enough, not calling enough, you know, bluff catching enough or anything, just kind of like risk averse reg. But people go back and forth between those categories for me, like once I get enough hands on their sample, basically. So this is interesting. Cold called the 3-bet over here. Previously in this pool, I just do a lot of jamming. But people just like have queens and kings like when they do that. It's kind of annoying, but I think if it were like a small blind 3-bet and a big blind cold call with just there being more chips in the middle, like he would have raised to like 10 or 11 or 12 and then it got cold call. It's tough. Here, do I think this guy's 3-betting too much? 9, 3-betting range. King, queen off, that's all we know. I'm just gonna call this time. Not great. And get the worst flop possible. So here I'm very, very deep with this guy. We're 230 bigs effective. So I'm not gonna 4-bet ace king off out of position here every time, or even much of the time at all. So we'll just continue like this. That's honestly about as good as board as you could ask for with ace king. 230 big blinds deep in a 3-bet pot out of position. A lot of pretty low stakes here. So dry board, ace high, disconnected. That's what you love to see. We will just call. I'm curious if there's ever... Oh, this is interesting. So he had 8-9 suited and 10s. It's a nice turn. Total brick. I guess there's the occasional 7-8 suited, but I don't think that would bet half pot on the flop. Ace-7 suited. Couple combos, even less combos now. Quick check back on the turn. It's very interesting. The fact that he was half on the flop sort of leans me to he had something. Like, I don't think kings, queens, whatever. So I'm thinking it's either a bluff and people won't bluff enough when I check, or like an ace that wanted to check turn for pot control, ace jack, ace queen. Our king does play, so I'm just going to target an ace. And he lets it go. Here versus half. It's interesting. We'll ISO the limp over here. Versus half, what's the c-bet frequency? It's actually kind of low. Versus half on a dry board like this. I think we have to call technically. Not my favorite though. 6 turn. Here we're just making top set all over the place. What happened here? I ISO'd the limp. I'm just gonna bet. Nothing fancy here. Small, I guess, or trap. How aggressive would this guy be on the turn? Not super. I'm just gonna bet. We beat the board, which is something, but he is gonna have a lot of like ace-x. But I don't think we have to like bluff queen high here. We'll obviously have a lot of like 4-5 suited and stuff like that, like stuff around the 6 that we would have also continued flop with. That are the clear bluffs here. I don't think we need to use like a queen high. It's interesting. So he's saying he has... Yeah, so I guess he can have a king or a 6. Like a king could just slow down the turn just to be trappy. Looking for me to like bet a 6 on the river and he can raise. Either way, I don't think we have to call this hand. I think we can have like a jack. We can have even some 6 that checks the river. Like I don't think we'll always bet a 6 on the river. Or like lead it on the turn or anything like that. I don't think we have to call queen high. And obviously we'll have ace highs as well. So versus overbet from a recreational, it's not my favorite spot to put up a hero call with queen high. Pick up queens again. We're making some hands today, folks. Definitely a nice change of pace. I'll open the 7-8 off, why not? How long have we been going for? Looks like we've been going for half an hour or so. We can maybe make this like 45-minute to an hour long episode. Get the 3-bet over here. We are a little bit deeper, like 130 effective, um, which makes like flatting the pocket pairs versus 3-bet obviously a little bit more enticing because when we flop a set and get stacks in, obviously we win more chips, better implied odds. It's worth noting this guy's 3-bet stat is 3%, which is very, very low, so I expect a lot of premiums. Ace, king, aces, kings, queens, jacks, ace, queen, but might be missing some of the bottom of the range ones. Although this is, again, only like 200 hands, so I'm not like super confident in that read, but this is interesting. We have a post. I will open over the post like that. Might be too small. Versus half. Here we'll 3-bet suited ace, small blind versus button. Versus half. Start with a small range bet over here or something like this. I think we will call versus half. It's not my favorite spot, but I think like he can sort of mindlessly c-bet half pot with a lot of like ace king, for example. So here, I don't recall like the 3-bet frequency, especially versus 3 big blinds, but just call this time. This guy is a recreational. Here, I guess we try and go to showdown. He goes half again. This is not what I expect to see from like an ace king, ace jack type of hand. I expect those hands are going to check back a lot. So now I don't think we're basically ever good. If we use the read that he like might not have some of those like suited connectors, based on his 3-bet stat, like those bluffs that'll be built around. He could have diamond hands obviously, but we'll just let it go over here. Here I will bluff river. Now that he checked back the turn on this board, I just think it's super quote-unquote scare board for his range. Here, we would have folded to that bet anyway. Oopsie. We're going to bet range over here. Okay, a lot of spots, a lot of spots. We're just going to go this size. I think it's, like, really good to just target ace high. Like, we can overbluff. Maybe king high doesn't need to bluff in theory, but I'm just going to do it anyway. Just don't think we're going to get the right continues. Okay, we get called on the ace king 3 with our 10s. It's interesting with a club, we can maybe do something, but just going to check the turn, keep it simple. Here, this guy's really going into the tank, so maybe he actually had a decision. Maybe he had like an ace-8 or something, like a pair. This, yeah, so... Considering raising, because I don't think he'd limp any like 2-pair, like ace-king, ace-queen, kings, queen, or like, you know, strong hands like kings, queens. I'm just going to raise. I don't know anything about this player, but I think I can fold out like an ace, like a crappy ace. So we get it through there. I don't know about that one, but half pot is just gonna be weak from a recreational player. When he limps pre-flop, especially I see he does have some like PFR, so he is raising, which means limp is maybe weaker. Like he's not like just limping all of his strong hands. So he just lacks like some of those like hands to put up resistance with, like sets, 2 pairs, Jack 10. Obviously we have 2 10s, which is nice. And he also used a size that's a little bit incoherent for Jack 10. Yeah, I just think it's a nice spot to spring the bluff. And just target like an ace, you know. Not going to do anything over here. Multi-way, out of position to the button, without a spade. Pocket 5s, we will try and beat some ace-high hands. Here, just range betting. Turn jack. Not going to be betting like my weaker aces on the turn. I think our checking frequency is going to be pretty high, or fairly high at least on the board pair. We'll lose to the 7s. So yeah, I'm going to put this ace into my turn check. And we will call river versus a normal size. Versus check now, I think we have a clear value bet. In terms of sizing, I think I'll probably play something like... What do I want to... I guess the worst hand I value bet is like this hand, basically. Like an ace, like a medium ace. So maybe like a 2/3 and an overbet for a jack, but we'll go with something like this. Could have 3-bet here, not really paying attention. 3-bet pre-flop. But... Nice, we get called by worse. You had a worse ace. Oh wow, so our kicker actually played, which is nice. I wasn't really thinking that was what we were targeting, like a worse ace. I was thinking we'd be targeting like pocket pairs, mostly. But no, I mean, like, yeah, his ace-x definitely has to call. By the way, he does also have ace-x that beat my ace, for sure. Like, I'll be value owning myself from time to time. But I just think, like, the c-bet 1/3, call, check, the board pair turn, and the river is, what was the river? Just a blank. That's basically all of our ace-x has to bet, but I could be wrong about that. 3 big blinds under the gun is not my favorite to see, obviously, but don't think we can fold the jack-9 suited. Fairly quick, 80% scrolled bet size, as in like using the scroll bar to get the perfect 5 into 6.14. Not my favorite, especially with my exact cards. I kind of block some of those bluffs. Here, I think I'll just let this go. Yeah, I think I'll just let it go. I think I have better continues, obviously. I have draws that can continue that are better than that one, right? Just like a backdoor, a couple backdoors, versus a larger size. Don't think I need to get super speculative with my continues. I think we can play a little bit more straightforward. But yeah, 3 big blinds under the gun, and then like a large custom scrolled size on the flop pretty quickly. It's pretty strong. King 8 suited button, we'll obviously open that. Pocket 5's cut off. Under the gun limp. It's worth noting this guy plays just like a ton of hands with some PFRs. Even still, I'm just gonna check with the king 8 off. Here we get a big 3-bet. Checking his 3-bet history. Don't really know. Not my favorite spot to continue. It's kind of indifferent, but versus a 3-bet on the bigger side, button call. Like, I think, I don't know. Not sure. Just gonna let it go that time. Versus an unknown. Have the 8 now here. I can start value betting. Do something like that. It's interesting. So usually I'd consider checking a hand like this, interacting with like his 8x hands that would normally check back, giving him slightly more bets, but I just don't think I'm gonna get bluffs enough or value bet thinly enough, so I'm just gonna bet myself, and I don't think we can go that big, honestly. All of his hands are basically that didn't improve to a king are gonna hate the king, so I'm just gonna do this. Yeah, normally like you turn in river 2 pair or something like that, like I did, and more chips go in, like you kind of block his hands that will check back on the river, his showdown hands. So when you check, you face a bet slightly more often, just the way that his range is reproportioned. It's a concept I've done like at least one video on, a hand review where I talk about that. But yeah, definitely a nice bit of theory if you're working on how to structure your like out of position river strategies. I don't think we have to. I don't think we will be c-betting range on like these wheelie boards, like the ace five, ace low low. Just gonna let this go versus 3 big blinds, tighter player, hijack. That being said, his check raise frequency is small. Oh no. Oh, I didn't even see there was a third player in the hand. Definitely not gonna bet that. Wow. Okay, I didn't see this. Okay. Totally out of whack here. On the turn now. We did get quick check from in position, by the way. So I think our hand is probably good enough for a bet. Do something like this. Here we get the small 3-bet and a cold call. So I think we will have to continue the deuces here. Because we know more chips went in, so we know we have better odds. And also we're just getting a better price because the 3-bet is too small. Here, another ace on the river. I'm going to bet another like small size. Try and target a jack. It's just hard to have an ace in the line that he used. We do get called, which is nice. He uses a very big size on the flop. My guess is an overpair. He actually donked, right? He donked into a 3-better, which is, yeah, super strong. We got called by a jack, yeah. Nice hand over there. Yeah, it's just kind of hard for him to have an ace when he doesn't really consider betting the river. Like, I think he checked to me pretty quickly. And obviously, you know, there was no turn bet, which it's safe to say not every ace would bet the turn, but I think a combination of factors just reduces the probability that he has an ace pretty drastically. So yeah, I'm pretty comfortable with that. Sort of exploitatively using a small size in position there. Maybe we can use more like half pot, but I think again, once we start using sizes like that, we're just getting overfolds. So I don't really mind the small size. Sort of carved out for just like ace jack, king jack, and queens. Yeah. Sorry, not ace jack. That's a full house. King jack, queens, queen jack. Yeah. Or better jack X and pocket queens. About 45 minutes in. We'll go for a little bit longer. We will flat d4s and flop a set. Nice. Just a set flopping merchant today. What have I had, like 3 whole sets? It's pretty good, actually. Versus the small bet. Yeah, just gonna check raise. I think, would we check raise more mergy or more polar? I'm gonna use a size that's just something like this. I think I'd raise maybe like a decent 10 and better, like an ace 10, king 10. Obviously, we'll check raise like a bunch of like backdoor type hands, like 5-6 with a backdoor, 5-7. Sorry, 5-6. Yeah, with the gut shot and backdoor flush draw, or 5-7 backdoor flush draw, or stuff around the 10, like 8-9, 8-7, 5-3 suited. Let's take it down there. Well, we got the most profitable pre-flop complete ever here with the pocket sixes and the big blind. Is it too greedy to ask for 2 sets in a row? That is the question. Come on. Come on, Satan. Come on, Satan. Oh my god. We use the dark magic, the the dark arts there. The power of Satan. Praying to Satan gets the job done, everyone. Oh, not a great turn for for getting more chips in, but Alright, let me think about this. How much betting do I expect there to be if I check the turn? I don't think our hand is actually, like, great to check raise either versus a ton of action. I'm just going to lead. I imagine there's going to be some, like, one club hands in range. So I actually like half pot. I think half pot's probably fine. Under the gun. Continued. Okay. This can be like ace king, ace queen with a club. Do I think these hands bluff if check too? Probably not. I don't think ace highs are going to be bluffing, so what else would he have to bluff with? Like queen 10 off? Like 7-8 of diamonds, 7-8 of hearts? I'm just going to bet myself. If he checked a jack on the flop or something like that. In terms of size, I'm just going to go something like... He had autofold turned on. Okay. Which also meant he had auto check back turned on. Thank you very much. I did not miss out on getting bluffed into. So I imagine he had like... I have no idea actually. Yeah, he might have had like an ace high hand with a club. Just like didn't even consider a world where he would be bluffing. That might be it. Or maybe something else. Who knows? Okay, have the open ender with a heart. Here we could ISO. I'm gonna check this time. Ace 9 I would for sure. Double Broadway with a heart for sure. Double Broadway just okay. This guy has autofold turned on. Autofold turned on. Bluff him for tiny sizes. I also get the sense he's kind of nitty. Like he's not even bothering to look at the size I use. To consider maybe like it looks weak. Maybe I want to raise. So he's probably not finding enough bluff raises either. This is just a weird stat line. He's like playing every hand. I'm just gonna keep him marked as like the default fish for now. Here. I'll 3-bet this time. Deuces on the 10-8-5 versus 2 players. Small blind. Do we start bluffing our hand now? Probably not. It's just not my favorite board. Take it down over here. Okay, if we get a check through now, I might start bluffing my deuces, but obviously now we get led into. Yeah, I definitely would start bluffing deuces with the club here on the king turn. In fact, no, the problem is I think that small blind is uncapped. Like, we'll have 8s and 5s. It's just not a great spot. Usually you want to attack when they're a little bit more capped. That will just use the half on the turn. Or would those hands look to check raise because I'm going to be betting on the king? Just let it go. I was considering raising. But I just think we can have better stuff to do that with. Like, we can have some equity hands. You know, I think those hands would be good. Deuce is actually a nice hand to raise the turn with because we don't block any like bet folds. We had the nuts over there. Okay. Yeah, interesting spot. Obviously, if we raised the deuces there, we would have not gotten the fold from the open ender. King 8 off. We'll just open it and get the auto folds. Queen 4 suited. Open the king jack. Where's his half? Just gonna let it go. This is about like 2/3. Oh, I didn't even see we turned. We turned 2 pair. I'm just gonna start raising. The size is kind of strong, honestly. So like he probably has something. I'm just gonna start raising. I don't really care about this guy after he limped pre and then checked back the flop. Just never gonna have anything anyway. Pretty good board for me over here. I'm just gonna bet small very often. He can't have Jack 10, which is a little unfortunate. Check back here. Okay, Here, we're going to bet like a normal size to target a jack. Actually, maybe size down. Normal size. Here we will... Do we take our king high showdown value or start bluffing? I think we can just check back to king 3. It's like a king high is a decent hand. Here, we'll bet again. We'll use... This is not a size you'll ever use in theory, but versus like a fish, I'm just going to do this. We'll take our king high over here. We actually win, which is nice. We get a mega check raise over here, which is never a bluff and is always the nuts, as far as I am concerned. After we raise the turn and bet the river, just gonna fold over there. It's a bit annoying. We will bet again over here. We'll target like the king 10s, king 9s, sticky queen X. Queen 9, okay. Little sticky. Call down. Second pair. Okay. Jack 9-3 we can just bet very often. Disconnected enough. Turn, don't think we're gonna be betting this hand for value. Don't need to bluff it either. Checked a little fast there. That's probably a bit exploitable. Face half pot the river. Yeah, totally indifferent. Are people just bluffing enough for this to make sense? On this run out, like even some of that backdoor, like, or not backdoor, but just like the queen 10 gets there, like the 8-9 continue got there, or any 9x, or 8-9's the one that would bet for value, obviously, but I think Jack X can easily click half pot without really thinking about it. Bluffs are gonna have to be like, I don't even. Yeah, I'm just gonna let it go. I mean, if anything, my 5s with a diamond are kind of blocking some 5x with a diamond bluffs, or just 5x bluffs in general. So yeah, his size is not coherent for like a flush anyway, where like the 5 of diamonds is more quote unquote relevant. Just gonna let that go. This 3-4-1 is bothering me a little bit. I think that so he's still uncapped on the flop. On the turn, he's still uncapped. He did like opt for like a 2/3 size, which is like not. It's not super intuitive, I guess. Multi-way out of position, like just clicking half is easier. Clicking a third is easier. Maybe I'm just coping, but we raise. He did just call. On the river, he would just have to decide to spaz like a spade draw, like from the turn. And from what I know about this guy, that is the read, by the way. So obviously, that read might be that read might have been made in tilted fashion. I don't exactly recall, but definitely not overbluffing this guy. Like that's something I definitely picked up on. So here, okay. I mean, this one we'll just let go over spot. This one in position, I just think versus even though like there's no implied odds here because he's so short, like there's the implied odds versus this guy. And it's just such a good price. Oh my god. The powers of so first we have the power of Satan. He's just got nothing. First we use the power of Satan to flop a set of 6s. We pray to Satan with the dark magic and we get the job done. Then we use the power of the degenerate gambler slots magic to flop trip 7s for like 25 big blinds effective versus a hand that dominates us. So here we get the raise from in position. I don't really like my combo to continue. We have better stuff to continue out of position with. We have like no visibility. And we actually block a lot of natural bluffs like 9x, spades, queen with a, like queen x with a heart, or 2 hearts. We're just gonna let that go. Here, UTG versus +1. I'm just gonna call the ace queen suited. Flop nothing. Versus a third. I don't think we have to continue ace queen without a spade or without clubs. Trying to think what our visibility is like if we have any reverse implied odds. I mean, ace king quite clearly, but also. Oh, this is also hijack versus cutoff, by the way. I didn't realize. Still, it's actually a little bit bigger than a third. Just gonna let it go. He might just have his button to be like 36% or whatever it was, but not like 40%. But I think we'll have all of like the offsuit combos of ace queen, and there's a ton of those that have a spade. Obviously, we'll 4-bet some of those, I think. And we'll also have a bunch of pairs with the spade. Like pocket pairs with a spade, we'll have the pairs from the board. Bunch of jack X versus a third. I'm just trying to think. I mean, obviously it's a pretty simple spot. We just face like a 1/3 c-bet and a 3-bet pot. I'm just trying to think about. It's good to go through the motions. Just think about like what is our range doing, so you don't end up making like a big mistake. In theory, this might have to call. Just 2-0 any overs. Not sure. My heuristic is that he used like a little bit bigger than a third. So if like it was already indifferent on the flop, then versus a third, then maybe a little bit bigger than a third. It's just a fold. But we make a pair on the turn versus a very quick check back on the flop from this guy. He also checks turn quickly. I don't think we're good enough to bet here. Our 7. We'll try and get the showdown. Just we'll never win though, realistically. Oh, that one. Oh, it's a chop. Okay, nice. I was gonna say that one hurts. All right, coming to the end here. Let's do a few more hands. Been recording for about an hour, but with some of the downtime between hands cut out of it, it'll be a little less than that, I think. Alrighty. Jack 10-7, kind of connected. Wet texture, 2 broadways to be fair, so we will be doing betting. Even if we're not betting range, I think this hand can just bet. Hopefully this is UTG or +1 big blind. On the turn, turn's pretty good for his range, I would say. 3 ways and 3-bet pot over here. So he gets a check back on the flop. I'm gonna use just a large size. Check back the flop over here, check the turn over here. Yeah, like it's already not a super nice spot when we get the like to be just barreling top pair out of position on a flush board, connected flush board. Here is I just don't like the spot. Cold call 3-bet. He's gonna have like the jack region of the world, the jacks of the world, the 10s or 9s of the world. Just gonna let that go. We don't really like. I don't know. Here, obviously, I'm just gonna check this one. Now when we do have the jack, it's actually a bit nice because I think his main checkbacks are jack X. So, and this guy did put in some raises on some other spots, so I think he is capable of bluffing. But the 10, he had the 10. Okay. So that hand's not calling a bet, clearly. This hand can actually probably consider even bluffing the river. I guess he has 7x, though. The occasional, like, 4s with a heart. 6s with a heart. Those hands might be first. But yeah, that's fine. I think when we have a jack, we block some of his clear checkbacks. Especially in that line. So I was talking about it in a different line earlier, but I'm not sure. I mean, maybe ace-jack can bet some of the time. We'll check some of the time. But I actually like it in that spot because I think this guy was using some some raises and some more aggressive stuff a bit earlier. But who knows? Honestly, I think the pool as a whole is just under bluffing, under raising, not being aggressive enough in any line. So that might make this, you know, checking river with some value hands just a less good play, just like a worse play overall across the board. No matter what the blockers are like, what the theory might say. That's entirely possible. I'm still kind of getting the feel for that in like especially some of these newer players I haven't seen before. But I don't mind the play. I think it's fine. We get the 4 big blind open over here. A bit odd. This guy doesn't raise very often. His PFR is only 9%. It looks like he usually limps. Just not gonna play the 8-9 suited out of position. All right, so let's sit out next big blind on all these tables and get the last few hands. Let that go. Okay, we have a monster draw here. We will check, like, after opening early position, getting called cutoff. And obviously, we can check raise, we can check call, doesn't really matter. I'd like to see what the guy I'm a bit deeper with does. Okay, now we'll check raise. I don't mind getting it in versus this stack, obviously. It'll be interesting if this guy continues and we play a very deep, very big pot. I'll just go like a committal size versus this one. Here, I think we can bet. Check this time. Quick check on the turn. Don't think many strong hands would quick check, but it is a king, so his checking frequency is going to be high anyway. We will bet here in position to both players. Just use a third. Maybe something like 40% or a half is fine. Here, do this. Do get the turn call. Don't get a great card. I'm going to check back. We are dead some of the time now. I think he can have 7s. He can have queen 9. He can have 7-9 suited. One combo, I guess. But just going to be doing a lot of checking in general on the board pair. I just have less 9s, pocket 9s, you know. So I'm going to check back, take our 9 over here. Ace king, very interesting. Okay, now we will bet. In terms of size, I guess we are targeting trips, right? And this hand can bet probably around this size, and like we'll have boats that can use a. Oh fuck! Oops. Just didn't see that I didn't have any time bank. Okay, we have the same hand. That's fine. Yeah, that was interesting. I wonder if I could have used a bigger size on the river. Would have been better. Obviously, versus his hand doesn't really matter, but I'm just thinking about what's correct. Didn't have much time. But my thought process was going down the lines of, like, if I have full houses still or quads, that those would use, like, a really big size. And then maybe the straights. You know, maybe straights have to go with the full houses, and then, like, if I have trips or I have aces, kings, like, those can use, like, a 2/3, you know, 75% type size, which is definitely possible. Here, gonna check back the turn. Don't expect to fold out a lot of like the 7s, 8s, and 9s. We could, but I also don't think it's really worth it to target those hands with ace high because we'll just be good some of the time. Like there's plenty of EV in the check down, and we would be targeting like pocket pairs. So, but we'll also check down and beat some of his hands. So, not that one though. Yeah, people are really, you can get a sense, I think, from some of these hands that we played today that people are really averse to 3-betting. I think that guy showed down ace-king suited. Wait, was that the same guy? It was the same guy. Okay. So, way under 3-betting. Flat ace-king suited. Let me just get the history here. This was hijack versus big blind. And that was heads up too. And then flat ace jack off. Small blind versus. I guess that would make us. Oh, yeah, versus under the gun. Nah, it's probably fine. It might just be a fold, honestly, but I think it's fine. that that we go with that read. I think that's fine. Okay. All right. So yeah, that was the session. I'll throw up the stats for the day just so people get a sense. I think today was a great session. Finished up like around 2 buy-ins. That was all right. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions, feel free to comment or message me or whatever. Yeah, thanks for watching. Hopefully gonna get back to making some more of these when I have free time. I'm playing more like 200 NL now that have a better sense of like the players in the pool. So yeah, hopefully videos will be like maybe a mix of 100 and 200 going forward, but gonna try to make 200 the main game for sure. Yeah, we'll just go from there. So yeah, everybody, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.